Hello. So I'm week one into my consulting adventure, and I've decided that every week I'm going to record a video, at least one video, to document my journey, any learnings, and see how this goes. So this is the first one. Obviously, production quality should improve. Um, I hope. I should get more comfortable with this, but for now it's very rough, very raw. I do apologize for that, but I hope that this is something that communicates some value and that you enjoy watching. I'm going to keep it as short and sweet as possible. So, what are the sort of key things that I've learned and focused on in this my first week? The first is I focused on the fact that doing is incredibly important. Obviously, if you're starting something on your own, if you've got no one else to rely on, you've got to get things up and running as quickly as possible because you most likely only have so much runway, so much opportunity to actually make this thing work. So doing is incredibly important, and that's something I've kept very much top of mind. Um, got to manage my energy, very important in itself, but I've, as far as possible, always been trying to do something to improve the likelihood of this working and improve the likelihood of getting the types of relationships and clients and projects that I want to pursue. So that's the first thing. I think doing is incredibly important and not losing sight of that. Secondly, having a plan to hold yourself accountable to. So I've got a very clear plan that I've worked on over time. And we'll see how much that shifts and evolves. It most likely will, but it's certainly been extremely helpful to this point. Having that longer term roadmap of where I want to be, what I want to do, and holding myself accountable to that as far as possible each day. Just using it to reorientate myself where needed. So having a plan to start. Then getting admin out of the way. So this is something that often becomes a bit of a obstacle for me, a mental obstacle as much as anything else. If I don't get admin out the way, it tends to occupy my mind and I actually get a bit anxious about it. And obviously, if you don't have all the admin out the way, those things can catch you up. So I've endeavored to get my admin out the way, which is not something I've always been very good at, but I've done that to this point. And that's helped me build some momentum, build some more confidence because the way my mind operates, if I don't have those little bits and pieces done, they're actually the things that I'm most anxious about. I'm much more anxious about like silly stuff, silly like logistical stuff, um, you know, bureaucratic stuff. I'm much more worried about that than the bigger picture a lot of the time. That's just how my mind works. So get your admin out of the way, use that to build momentum, but also free your mind from those distractions. Then having a clear set of rules and parameters in place for how you operate, who you want to work with, being very, very clear on that to start, I think is super important. I've already had to put that in play. I've already had to kind of apply those parameters. Um, you don't want to distract yourself with things that just don't sit well with you, or they don't fit the way you want to operate, the way you want to work. It's very, very easy to get pulled into those things, to gravitate towards them. So just having a very clear set of rules and parameters up front, I believe, is incredibly helpful. Then starting as you intend to operate. Similarly, having a clear idea of how you want to operate and starting in that way. Just because it's early days doesn't mean that you can't, operate in the way roughly that you want to longer term. And obviously, if you set yourself up to do that and you are consistent in that, it's going to make things a lot easier further down the line. So I've started very much in the way that I intend to operate. I'm sure it's going to be a challenge sticking to that, but I have that very clear thought in mind. And then finally, just going for it. I've had a number of instances over the last week alone where, like, I've had to just go for it. I had to put myself out there. I've had to just be a bit vulnerable, and it's hard. It's hard. but you just have to go for it. And the more you go for it, the more that instills confidence, the more it's going to build momentum, the more you're going to realize, like, actually, this is great. I can do this. Um, People believe in me. Wow, people are much more positive about this than I thought. Almost everyone is just really encouraging and really enthusiastic. And you don't necessarily expect that. So just go for it. In fact, that's probably the most profound piece to this in my first week is how powerful that is and how you have to do it. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope some of these thoughts have been useful. And please don't hesitate to reach out to me if you have any questions or anything else. Have a great day. Cheers.